How you doing? How you doing? I know, it's awful. I don't know why I started this because I can't keep up with it. Well, I mean, it's the holidays. Like everyone's super busy. We've had like 5 birthdays in between October and January, and still not done yet. But yeah, with all the holidays and kids being at the house, it's just I wanted to like the kids are finally back in school, so I wanted to take this time to update. Even though I've already delivered. It's been like 2 weeks since I've delivered. It's been 3 months since I made a video. I had to look back on my last video and rewatch it to see what the heck I even talked about. But yeah, so last time I updated, I was 24 weeks pregnant. I was just catching you guys up on we found out it was a boy, and they were making travel plans and stuff. So now I guess I'll try to catch up with everything that's happened so far. So yeah, last time I was 24 weeks. Everything was going good. Everything went great the entire time. At 30 weeks pregnant, I started seeing my OB twice a month, every Tuesday and Friday. The first time I would go to do an NST for I think like 30 minutes. I'd be hooked up to that. And then the next time I would go, I was doing a biophysical profile. And the reason why I did that was because I guess some doctors believe that IVF pregnancies are high risk. So they just wanted to make sure everything was going well with baby and pregnancy, and we were all on track. And I don't know if you guys, I mean, of course the NST tracks like contractions and heart rate, but the biophysical profile tracks like everything like muscle tone, swallowing, movement, breathing, growth maybe. I don't know. I know you can get 8 points out of that and then 2 points for the NST. So total, if you do both, you'll get 10 points. So everything was going good. Around, I think, 35 weeks, we started talking about C-section plans. I've already had 2 C-section in the past, so this was going to be another C-section. And so we started talking about like when the best time to do that. We were talking to the parents, the doctor, trying to figure things out. And we settled on the 21st. And so it's pretty close to Christmas, but we both knew that we would probably be home before Christmas Eve. And so like they didn't want to be in the hospital for Christmas. They didn't want me to be in the hospital for Christmas. And so we thought the 21st was good, which put us at exactly 38 weeks. And then so they drove like I think a couple days before the actual C-section date, because they were thinking about flying, but with all the germs and a lot of people and stuff, they just thought it would be better for the baby and safer for the baby, especially during flu season, for them to drive. So they've been planning for a long time, and it was like a full day travel. Like they drove a long time. And then we wanted to do dinner with them when they got into town, but they texted and they're just like, there's no way we're going to make it in time for dinner, which was fine. I just thought it'd be cool to catch up. But they didn't get into town until like 2 in the morning, but it was fine because they had already figured out what hotel they're going to stay at. We just had to be at the hospital at 9 in the morning. And so they came over at I think like 8 in the morning or something over to our house, because we're pretty close to their hotel and the hospital. So we all gathered at the house. We exchanged Christmas gifts. They got my family Christmas gifts. We got them Christmas gifts. But it was pretty funny because they got in at 2 o'clock in the morning, so it was really dark. And the mom woke up and she's like, they were like leaving their hotel to come to our house, and she's like, we slept near a cemetery? Are you kidding me? I don't think I would have slept here if I'd known that. But I just thought it was pretty funny. And so they came over, we chatted for an hour. We were supposed to be at the hotel at 9 in the morning. So we headed over there. I had already done my pre-registration like the week beforehand. So all we really had to do was just, I guess register or something. The parents had to do their insurance and all that jazz. So right when we got to the hospital, we went to the maternity ward. I got hooked up to the NST for like 45 minutes, and then the parents and my husband came into the room, and we just talked for like an hour or so while I was on that. And then they wheeled me to the OR room, and of course you have to like put the spinal in and stuff. And they were having a hard time doing it. Like, I ended up with a big bruise on my back because she took like 10 minutes, and you're in that like C position, like you have to arch your back and everything, and you're like super prego, so you have a big belly, but you have to arch your back in a C, and it is not comfortable, especially for 10 minutes, and they're poking a needle in your back. So, and I don't know exactly how they do it. I'd rather not know exactly how they do it, and until afterwards. I can watch the heck out of a C-section now, knowing I've already done one, but beforehand I don't want to watch it. But yeah, same with the spinal tap. I don't really know what they did, but she was having a heck of a time like pushing it in, and there was a few times where I said ouch, and they would ask like, what's wrong? Where does it hurt? And as long as I said my lower back, they're like, okay, that's fine. But then one time I said it, and they asked what's wrong, and it was my right leg, and they're like, okay, we might need to get someone else in here. And so they brought someone else in here, but all he had to do was like walk into the room, and she finally got it. But she did warn me that, hey, you're probably gonna have a big bruise, because we really had to try at this. So after they got me all set up, at first I was like, I can still feel like you touching me. Is that normal? And then she's like, well, we're gonna like pinch you and just make sure before we start cutting, make sure you can't feel it. And so they pinched me. I couldn't feel it, and she's like, okay, he's already making the incision, so you're good. Well, my husband was right beside me. He got to come into the actual OR room. The parents, we were told in the beginning that they probably wouldn't be able to watch because hospital regulation, like if something went wrong, like a lot of parents would be hard to rush out of a room. They would be like staying like, no, I want to see what's going on. And so one nurse actually said that, no, I asked my boss and it's not possible. The other nurse came in, she's like, we'll see about that. So somehow they got to watch in the other room, and the other room was just filled with, it was just a glass room to where like right after the baby's taken out, they put him in the other room. It's connected just by a glass, and put in that like bassinet thing to where they weigh them. So they were able to stay in that room and actually watch the whole thing. And then when the baby was being born, the nurses like let them out. It's like, hey, if you guys want to take pictures, now's the perfect time. And that boy has a set of lungs. Like, he wasn't even out. The only thing that was out was his head. And he started crying, and he was wailing. Like, he came out with a set of lungs, and we definitely found out that night that he's not a quiet crier. Well, so yeah, they took him out. I think the C-section itself was like 15 minutes, and then they took him back, and like, I was really paying attention. Like, when I was being sewn up or whatever, they put staples inside me. Like, I guess not inside, but like to, so instead of like glue or whatever. I didn't know people still did staples. I thought that was like way back whenever. But yeah, which I guess was fine. I just had to have them removed a couple days later, and it didn't even hurt, so it was fine. It just looked like Frankenstein. I was like trying to look, and I was like, oh, it's so gross. But anyways, back on topic. Yeah, and so as I was getting it cleaned up, like I wanted to really focus on the parents' faces, because that's why a lot of surrogates go into this, is because so they can see that moment, that moment where the couple becomes parents for the first time. So I was really trying, of course I was looking at the baby too, but I really wanted to focus on them. And so, because it was like their special moment. And yeah, baby came out perfect. A lot of hair. It's like no wonder why I was having a lot of heartburn. But he's super cute. He weighed perfect. Everything about him was perfect. And then, so I got wheeled into the recovery room. I stayed there for an hour. And during that time, I think it's a new thing they're offering. I was explained it was a new thing that they're offering. Instead of like a lot of pain meds, I guess this method is supposed to help you not have to have all those pain pills. It's called a tap block. And what they do is basically inject with a needle. They inject pain meds directly into your stomach, into the ab muscles, and the needle's like that long. And they put it on the right side, and you're watching on the screen because they guide it with the ultrasound. So you're watching on the screen, and he's injecting the meds, and you can see like the muscle separating a little bit from the injection. And then right when he does that, then he does the left side. And that pain med is supposed to work for 24 hours, and which it did help a lot. I think I only had to take like 2 pain pills in between that time. And then, I mean, you can definitely tell when it wears off, because like a lot of stuff you were able to do, it like becomes increasingly like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. That hurts. But so I went into, after all my stats were good, she wheeled me into my actual room where I was gonna stay, and like they took the catheter out, and they said as soon as I can start feeling my legs, I can try to get up and walk. And so the first time when I tried to get up, like I think it took like 2 or 3 hours after the C-section for me to get feeling in my legs. But as soon as I did, I was like, okay, I'm ready to walk. Like there was gas pains, like gas traveling everywhere from the surgery, and I just wanted to get that moving and start getting back to just recovering faster. And so the first time I went to the bathroom, the nurse took me, and she said I was doing just fine, and so she gave me permission, like, just to keep on walking around. And later on, the parents came in, started talking to me, and then my husband brought back our son from my parents' house, because my husband dropped him off at my parents' house for the C-section, and then later on brought him back at the hospital. And so the parents came in the room as well and brought their baby, and I got to hold him, and you can just tell like the dad like stood with a purpose. Like I don't know how to explain it. He just seems so proud. But he told me, I think the next day, that like he thought for sure he was gonna cry when he saw his baby for the first time, because this is 6 years in the making. Like a lot of miscarriages, a lot of ups and downs, and the moment's finally here. But he didn't. He was like, I don't know how I didn't, but so much, I was just overwhelmed. So, and you could just tell the mom was so protective. Like, it was funny. She was trying to hold him like this, make sure you do that. So it was super cute. Back on topic, what was I saying? We stayed. My husband took our son home that night, and because we have 3 dogs at home anyways, so it's not like he was going to stay at the hospital, and which I was fine with. It was just a quiet night to myself, besides their nurses coming in every 2 hours. But so the next day we all got to leave. That was on a Friday. We got to leave on Saturday, and like, yeah, so, which I kind of regret at the time, now, but I'm glad I went home, just for the fact that, I was like, okay, finally, let's go home, let's get things moving, start our recovery, get our life back on track. But the only thing that sucks was we don't have an adjustable bed, so like, with a C-section, you don't realize how much ab muscle you use until you can't use them, or they hurt to use them. So I was like, as long as I get home, lay on the couch, I'll be completely fine. I have a really helpful husband. Like, he can take care of me. Well, I was laying on the couch. I was like, okay, I need to get up and start walking around. And because I tried to do that like every 45 minutes or so. And I was laying down, and I was like, oh crap, like how am I supposed to get up? This is really going to hurt. And it did. It really hurt. But it was fine. Like, I'm glad I went home. So yeah, they got home, I think, on Christmas Eve, because it took them a couple days to get home. They called us Christmas Day. They FaceTimed us Christmas Day. And so we saw a part of their family. We saw the baby. They wished us Merry Christmas. And then we talked for a couple minutes and then hung up. And I texted him afterwards. And I was like, thanks for the call. That was really sweet. Really appreciate it. He's cute. Congratulations. And their response was really sweet. They were like, yeah, we will forever be connected. You and your husband are now aunt and uncle to him. And I was like, aw, proud moment. But, so I guess that's the whole delivery story. Now on to, returning to normal. Like, it's been 2 weeks, and I'm doing great. There's some more bad days than good days. I mean, there's, most of the time it's good. There's just a few times where it's like, oh, that still hurts. I wrote some notes. Yeah, so a lot of people, I've gotten a couple questions, like a lot of people will say, like, do the parents still keep in contact? Like, what's your guys' relationship from here on out? Do you miss the child? All that stuff. And yeah, of course we plan on keeping in contact. I think that's how a lot of matches start is, yeah, we want to keep in contact with the surrogate. The surrogate says the same thing. They want to watch the child grow up. But a lot of times it doesn't end up happening. People change their mind. But yeah, with this couple, it really seems like we really connected on a personal level. And yeah, so that's the plan, is to stay in contact. I would love to watch him grow up, see what kind of person he becomes. As to if I miss him, well, it's weird because, like, I don't miss him. He's not my child. I don't want to sound harsh when I say it, but a lot of people, they're just like, I could never give up the child after carrying it for 9 months. I just couldn't do it. But to us, it's not giving up. I don't know if I think I've explained it before, to where, like, I just look at it as, like, if I was babysitting a child, like, I think it'd be really weird if that parent came to pick up the child after a while and I would want to keep the child. That's kidnapping. That's not good. So no, I don't. I enjoyed my time with him, but it's not my child, so I didn't connect that bond. I didn't form that bond. And that's a line I never wanted to cross, because if you cross that line, I think you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because you know that child's not going to stay with you. You know that child has a set of parents, and that child's going to go home with that parent. But a lot of surrogates, that's the goal. Like, that's the main thing that they want to see, is a couple become parents. And that's, like, you don't fall in love with the baby. You kind of connect on a personal level with the parents. You hear their stories, you hear their heartbreaks, you go through it with them. And after 18 months, that's what we've been doing. We've been on this road for 18 months, and it's just like, no. Yeah, so no, I don't miss him. It's never giving up the child. It was always giving back their child. You're just the extreme babysitter. Now, how I feel, it's weird because, like, and I don't want to say it in a selfish way, but it's just, like, real talk. Like, you know, even, like, if you're a pregnant person or a surrogate, like, you get a lot of attention. Everyone's asking you every time they see you, how are you doing? How do you feel? Like, any, like, what's your emotions like? How are you excited? I mean, all this stuff. And so with a surrogate, you get a lot more questions besides the how are you feeling, just the normal pregnancy questions. You have the agency contacting you all the time. You have the OB, it's always centered about you. The clinic you're working with, in the beginning, it's all about you. The parents call you, it's all about you. Of course, the baby too, but you're carrying that child, so they're asking you all these questions. How are you feeling? Do you need anything? All that stuff. And so it's very centered around you. And then afterwards, you deliver the baby, and now what? Excuse me. And all of a sudden, you're just like, you have to just go back to reality, like nothing ever happened. And it's definitely a weird feeling, because, like, for me, it was never about me. It was always about the couple becoming parents. It was about the baby. It was about their journey. But yeah, so it's just weird, like, when you're left to recover on your own. Like, I just had a major C-section or major surgery, but it's just like, I feel like I need to recover faster just because I don't have a baby to take care of. And I've heard a lot of people say that too. And it's so weird, because I feel like, well, I'm not pregnant anymore. I need to start getting up and around. I need to start working. I need to do this. I need to do that. It shouldn't be taking me this long. I don't have a baby to take care of. And all this stuff. So I feel like, okay, I need to get going. But I still have to remember that I did just have surgery. It's just weird. It's just a weird feeling. I don't know. And so, yeah, it's very weird to recover without the baby, because, like, you're still walking around town and, with 30 extra pounds on you, and I'm just like, sorry, I just had a baby. Give me some credit. But no, so yeah, as to if I want to do this again, like they do want a sibling for the baby, and they did ask me, well, I was like 8 months pregnant, and they did ask me if they did do a sibling, would I be willing to be their surrogate again? Well, two things come into play. First one is they asked me when I was 8 months pregnant, and I was like, if you ask me now, of course I'm going to say no. Like every pregnant woman knows, and their 8th month of pregnancy, 7th, 8th month of pregnancy, it is not fun. Like you are so uncomfortable. You're peeing every 5 minutes. You cough and pee, you sneeze and pee. Everything is just a mess. It's not fun. You're not sleeping. All you want to do is sleep, and you're just tired and cranky, and bloated. But if you ask me in 6 months from now, I don't know. I would love to. So I would love to, but it's a big commitment, not on just my part. Like, it's a big commitment on everybody. Like, I would have to really talk to my husband to see if he's willing to pick up the slack again like he did. Then my kids picked up the slack with housework. There was a lot of, like, I wasn't playing with my son as often because he wants to get on the ground and play board games. And, like, sometimes you're just too tired. Sometimes you're just too uncomfortable. Sometimes you're just too sick. And so it doesn't just affect you. It affects everybody around you. My mom had to watch my son for 3 days while we went out for transfer. And that was twice. And so it definitely affects everybody in your family. So, that's why it's always good to have a really good support system. Yeah. So I would definitely have to talk to them because it's a big commitment. This was 18 months. A lot of people think that as a surrogate, it's just like, hurry up. Like, it's just 9 months. Like, it's really fast. But it's really not. Like, mine took 18 months, and that was with, a miscarriage. So you're going through all those emotions, and your family goes through those emotions with you. So it's really hard. So it's just a lot to think about. But, and the second thing that comes into play is that will be my 4th C-section. Is that smart? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people do have 4 or 5 C-sections and everything's fine. But with more C-sections comes more of a risk with a ruptured uterus. So that's even to say if I get passed with my medical screening, will another clinic take me? And I believe there are a lot of clinics who do take surrogates who will have to have a 4th C-section. I think the big cutoff is 4. A lot of people do cut off at 3 C-sections, but there are some clinics who accept people up to 4. Now the thing is just, is it safe? Like, I would really have to research and talk to a lot of people to see if it's safe, and go from there. But yeah, so I think that's basically all I wanted to talk about. Baby's doing good. I just got a picture yesterday of him and his grandma, and his grandma's not doing so good. So that was like a big milestone that we really wanted to hit, was make sure baby's born before grandma passed, because she's just not doing well. And we made it. So that was a big one that we really wanted to happen. So I think that's it. I don't know if you guys have any questions, just let me know, but I think I covered everything. So I guess until next time.